Welcome to Honeybee, real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. My name is Richard. I'm 34 years old, and up until last year, I believed I could rely on the woman I married. Vera and I had been together for 4 years of marriage when everything unraveled. I've been employed at a manufacturing company for 6 years now. It's steady work that provides a good annual income, enough to take care of our needs. Vera and I first met through mutual friends when we were both nearing 30. We dated for a couple of years, then tied the knot with plans to create a simple suburban life together. But fertility struggles were something we never expected. When you're young and planning your future, you assume children will come naturally once you're ready. About a year and a half into our marriage, we began trying seriously. After a year without success, we entered what became a long, costly journey through the medical system. We pursued every possible option. A specialist at the regional fertility clinic tested us both extensively. Blood tests, hormone checks, sperm counts, ultrasounds, procedures I couldn't even pronounce. Strangely, everything came back normal, which was more frustrating than finding an actual problem. At least then we would have known what to fix. The treatments were draining, emotionally and financially. Insurance covered portion, but never the high-cost procedures. We spent thousands of dollars we couldn't afford on treatments that carried only a small chance of success. Every month, Vera would take a pregnancy test, and every month when it came back negative, we pretended it didn't break us inside. The one time she did get pregnant, we were overjoyed, only to lose the baby in the 4th month. It happened again later. To this day, I can't fully describe a heartbreak. After 3 years of this, we were exhausted. The endless cycle of hope and disappointment was destroying us, while financial strain silently weighed on our marriage. We fought often about trying one more round of treatments, about taking breaks, about whose fault it might be, even though doctors had said it wasn't anyone's fault, and whether to consider adoption or accept that children might never be part of our future. Every conversation about what lay ahead felt heavy with blame and despair we didn't voice. It was around this time, shortly after our 3rd anniversary, that Vera mentioned a wellness retreat. Her best friend Rachel had been raving about it. Rachel and her husband David had discovered a program in Colorado that focused on holistic fertility treatments, alternative medicine, meditation, diet changes, stress management. All the things mainstream doctors dismiss, but couples desperate for hope were willing to try. Rachel was convinced this retreat would finally solve her own struggles to conceive. She and David had been trying nearly as long as we had, with the same frustrations. The retreat lasted 2 weeks, with couple participating in workshops, treatments, and lifestyle changes aimed at boosting natural fertility. Vera was more enthusiastic about this than I had seen in months. Lately, she had been so defeated she even mentioned giving up. The retreat brought her back a sense of hope. Maybe this new path could work where everything else had failed. Rachel suggested they do it together, best friends supporting each other through the process. But the timing was terrible for me. At work, we were in the middle of a major equipment overhaul, and I was putting in 6-day weeks. Taking 2 weeks off would have left my team stranded during the most critical phase. My supervisor had already made it clear everyone was needed. I felt guilty, but Vera understood. She also pointed out that while the retreat was designed for couples, single participants were allowed. If nothing else, she could learn techniques and bring them home for us to use together. So I encouraged her to go. Rachel and David were longtime friends, people I trusted, so I wasn't worried about her being in their company. The retreat cost $1,500, money we didn't really have, but it was cheaper than another round of IVF and might actually help. Vera deserved the chance to try something different. She left on a Thursday morning. I drove her to the airport, suitcase packed with yoga clothes and a new journal to document her experience. She looked hopeful again, the way she did when I first fell in love with her. I kissed her goodbye and told her to focus on herself. That first week, I buried myself in work. The installation was progressing well, and long hours kept me from missing her too much. She called every day, sounding happy and relaxed. The retreat was beautiful, the instructors good, and she was learning a lot: nutrition, stress relief, fertility strategies, and relationship discussions. But in the second week, her calls became less frequent. When we did speak, she sounded a little distant. I figured she was just immersing herself in the program, which was the point. When the 2 weeks ended, she told me they were extending the program. The instructors had selected a few participants for an extra week of one-on-one coaching. She and Rachel had both been chosen. The extra week cost another $500, but she believed she was on the verge of a breakthrough. I wasn't thrilled about the expense, but hearing the excitement in her voice, I told her to go for it. Nearly 3 weeks after she left, I picked her up from the airport. She was glowing, relaxed, and full of stories about the techniques and lifestyle changes she wanted us to try. That first week back, things felt different. She was affectionate again, more like the woman I'd married. We started doing meditation before bed, following the new diet, and trying the supplements she brought back. For the first time in months, we weren't consumed by infertility. We were just enjoying each other again. 6 weeks later, Vera came home holding a pregnancy test. Tears of joy streamed down her face. After 4 years of struggle, she was finally pregnant. We clung to each other in the kitchen, overwhelmed with gratitude. The next day, we went to hospital, and blood work confirmed she was 5 weeks along, meaning she conceived right around when she returned from the retreat. It felt like a miracle. The pregnancy went smoothly. Minimal morning sickness, good energy, and every scan showed normal development. We finally allowed ourselves to dream. I started taking as much overtime as possible, saving for the baby. Then, around 4 months in, Vera's phone began acting up. Apps froze, messages failed. The screen glitched. One Saturday, she asked me to take a look. I've always been good with electronics, so I started troubleshooting. While navigating the settings, a text notification popped up from someone saved as D. The preview read, "Please don't do this to me." Confused, I opened the thread. My stomach dropped. It was months of messages between Vera and a man, begging her not to tell his wife that she was pregnant with his child. He offered her money, increasingly larger sums, to stay quiet. Vera's replies were cold, almost transactional. She mentioned costs of raising a baby and hinted at what her silence would require. The messages went back to right after the retreat. Early exchanges were romantic, then later filled with panic and bargaining once she got pregnant. She told him she'd claimed the baby was mine, but expected financial support from him. The number looked familiar. After a quick lookup, I realized it belonged to David, Rachel's husband. The pregnancy I thought was a miracle was a result of Vera's affair with my friend's husband. And worse, she was blackmailing him. I sat on the couch, numb, when Vera came in. I confronted her. She tried to deny it, to gaslight me, saying the texts were taken out of context. But when I pressed her, she refused to answer directly. When I asked if the baby was mine, she swore it was, but her eyes betrayed her. That night, she slept in the guest room. The next morning, she pretended nothing had happened. I told her I wanted a paternity test. She refused, claiming it would harm the baby. She accused me of being paranoid and unstable. 2 weeks later, I filed for divorce. The court battle was long and bitter. Vera fought against the paternity test, her lawyer portraying me as a cruel husband abandoning his pregnant wife. But when the baby was born, a beautiful girl, I couldn't help but hope briefly that maybe she really was mine. 2 weeks later, the DNA results proved otherwise. David was a father. From there, everything unraveled for Vera. With proof of fraud, I regained the house, stopped support payments, and pursued damages. Rachel divorced David. Vera moved back in with her parents, raising the child alone with no support from David. As for me, I'm still here. Single, working, living quietly. My marriage showed me that sometimes betrayal exposes truths you needed to see. If we had children earlier, I might have spent my life with someone I never really knew. Now, my home is quiet, but honest, and I'll take honesty over a life built on lies any day. Thanks for listening.